Monsters do have their place. In the zoo, in your nightmares, in the deep.
Hey, I'm drinking Sweet Dreams tea. I thought it'd be appropriate for this video because we're talking about some books that have to do with sleep and dreaming and night. So the first book I want to mention is called Night, Nightlife, Night Language, Sleep and Dreams by A. Alvarez. And this was actually a book I had tried to read 2 times in the past and hadn't finished, and it wasn't because I wasn't enjoying it, or at least that's not how I remember feeling about this book. But this 3rd time, I finished it, and I have to say there's definitely not going to be a 4th time. I didn't really care for it. It was kind of uneven and choppy. There was a section on the sleep lab. I really liked that. Other than that, I don't know. It wasn't that great. But when I got done reading that, I was so on the topic, like in the mood for the topic of sleep and dreams, that I needed something else. So I went on Amazon and I found this one. Nightmareland, Travels at the Borders of Sleep, Dreams, and Wakefulness by Lex Lonehood Nover. And I mean, look at the cover. It's completely awesome. I love the cover. And I have to say, it didn't disappoint. This was a good one. And it's just a fun book. I spent the weekend really reading this and enjoying this. And the thing with this book is he makes a lot of references to other books, material, things on the internet. So you could keep yourself really busy for a really long time just going off and exploring sleep and dreaming in all different directions. So each chapter in this book covers a different topic, I'll tell you. So there's sleep paralysis, which was why I really bought the book. Parasomnias, which is like sleepwalking, sleep talking, things like that. Sleep murders, sleep deprivation, nightmares, hypnagogia, psychic attack, alien abductions, and lucid dreaming. And I have to say, I probably found the lucid dreaming chapter the most interesting, which I wasn't expecting, because I was like, oh, lucid dreaming, yeah, I'll read that. But I wasn't really thinking I was going to be as into that as I was. Also really good was the Parasomnias chapter and the Sleep Murders chapter. And then the strangest chapter was the Psychic Attack. I don't even know what to think of that. He mentioned some other books. I think I'm going to try to read some of the other books. They sound really strange. So I'm kind of curious about it. We'll see what happens with that. So I bought this book because of the sleep paralysis mainly. I thought I'd give that a read. Because when I was younger, I actually had a sleep paralysis fairly regularly. So this was back in the 90s when I was having my sleep paralysis as a teenager. And there wasn't, as far as I knew, any information on sleep paralysis at that time. I hadn't ever heard of it. So when it happened to me, I thought I was being haunted by ghosts. Thought there was ghosts in my room and they were haunting me. And it wasn't until I was in my 20s and the internet, like, you could Google things and I figured out I wasn't haunted. And I learned about it. And the thing was, once I learned what it was, I started to have it less and less. I think I just became aware of what was going on with my body when I was waking up, and I'd realize, oh, this is the sleep paralysis. And I would snap out of it quicker, and eventually it just kind of faded out of my experience. And I was kind of sad about that, because once I knew it wasn't anything to be scared of, it was kind of a cool state to get into. So I really kind of miss it in a way. But another parasomnia is called exploding head syndrome, which sounds way scarier than it is. And I actually have that now. After the sleep paralysis faded away, it became exploding head syndrome, which is when you awaken to hearing a loud explosion, something like a loud explosion, and sometimes even you'll see a flash of light. So the first time I really experienced this, it sounded like like a bomb went off outside, and there was a bright flash of light as I opened my eyes. I really thought we were like under attack or something. I was waiting for sirens to come on. I was terrified. I got up, I looked out the window. It was perfectly calm and quiet outside. I couldn't figure it out because it sounded like a massive, massive explosion. On Facebook, no one was talking about any bombs going off or anything like that. So I realized it must have been some kind of a dream or something. That flash of light, though, was so creepy. It was like a greenish white flash of light. It was spooky. And since then, I'll have it, I don't know, a few times a year. I'll experience that, and I know what it is. And it's not as fun as sleep paralysis, though, because it's just over in a second. Sleep paralysis is cool because you're lying in bed and you can't move your body, but you can have your eyes open and you can see the room around you and you're aware of what's around you. But there'll be like hallucinations in the room. It's like you're still dreaming over what you're seeing. And like I said, though, when I first had it, I was probably 15 the first time it happened, and it was completely terrifying. So it was early morning. I want to say I probably woke up. I was like 5 o'clock, and I couldn't move, but I was awake, and the blanket was just partially covering my face, so I couldn't really clearly see the room, and I couldn't move to pull the blanket off my face, and I felt something jump on the bed, and I thought at first it was my cat. And I don't think I was aware that I couldn't move yet until I felt that sensation of something jumping onto the bed. And I thought it was my cat, but then I realized it felt way too big and heavy to be a cat. And that's when I started to get scared. And so because I was so scared, I thought I was scared stiff. I thought that was like what that phrase meant. That was why I couldn't move. And so I started to hear this sniffing sound, and it was like a dog sniffing, and it was really loud. And then the next thing I know, like I can just barely see coming under the blanket a black nose of a dog. And I didn't have a dog, and I didn't know of any black dogs in the neighborhood. And this dog was trying to get under the blanket, and I couldn't move, and I couldn't do anything, and it was just sniffing all around me. And then suddenly I was able to move and was completely awake, and I jumped out of bed and I looked all around the room. There was no dog. The cat wasn't in the room. There was nothing in the room with me. It was just me. And I was so scared. I actually had to stay home from school that day and just sleep because it completely drained me. It completely took everything out of me, and I was just scared. I thought there was a ghost. And I didn't tell anyone, though, that I thought there was a ghost, because, I mean, that sounds crazy. I didn't think anyone would believe that, or that was a thing that I should be talking about. But as you can imagine, it was pretty weird to think you were haunted by a ghost for a few years, which was what I thought until I found out what it was. And the thing was, every time I'd have, not every time, but almost every time I'd have the sleep paralysis, it was a little black dog on the bed or walking around the bed. Except one time, one of the very first times, I woke in the middle of the night, and it was a full moon, or almost a full moon, and the light was shining really brightly through the window, so I could clearly see the whole room. And I thought my friend was sitting on the bed, but she had her back to me, so I thought she was sitting like that. And she was known for her really distinctive long curly hair, and I didn't know anyone else with hair like hers. And I didn't know why she would be in my room. I don't know, must have been like 1, 2 in the morning, like how she got in the house, why she was there. So I'm lying there trying to figure out why she's there, and I'm trying to talk, but I couldn't get myself to speak because I was frozen. You also can't make any sounds when you have sleep paralysis. And all of a sudden she slowly started to turn her head towards me. And it was not the face of a teenage girl at all. It was this wrinkled, shriveled up, old woman, older than it could possibly be. You could possibly be. Just horrifying face. And then I snapped out of it and like gone. The woman was gone. No one in the room with me. I was sure it was a ghost, and I was sure I was haunted, and I didn't want to tell anyone that it was a ghost. But of course there was no ghost, it was just sleep paralysis, which I later learned. So as I was saying, there's so many little tidbits of information that you can go off and explore in this book that you can keep yourself entertained for a while. In the Parasomnias chapter, he was talking about sleep talking. And there was this man named Dion McGregor back in the late 1950s, early 1960s, who wouldn't just sleep talk a few words. He would tell an entire crazy, surreal, humorous story in his sleep. And this man didn't believe that he was capable of that, so his roommates started recording it. And then they decided to put out a whole record for everyone to enjoy his crazy stories. And it has this really great Edward Gorey artwork on the cover. And I guess there's a book, I haven't looked for it yet, but there's a book that's supposed to have Edward Gorey artwork. I don't know if he did the drawings inside or if it's just the cover, but I'd be really interested in that. I'm a huge Edward Gorey fan. I love Edward Gorey. Anytime I find like a book with just like him illustrating the cover, I don't care what it is, I want the book. So yeah, I think I'll probably look for the book. I might look for the album. But the thing is, it's on YouTube, and I listen to it, and while it's funny and interesting and strange, I can't really see myself listening to it again. I mean, maybe like it'd be interesting at a party or something. It gets a little old after a while. Although, I mean, it's funny. There's some really humorous things throughout all the nonsensical weirdness. But you should check it out. So it's The Dream World of Dion McGregor. You can listen to the whole record right on YouTube. Interesting. There was one, I saw someone had put up just like sections of it, and it was the mustard fight. That's only like a minute and a half long. Like if you don't want to like invest a whole hour in listening to this guy's crazy stories, listen to like the mustard fight or something. Oh my god, mustard fight. Okay, so I definitely recommend this book. The other one, not so much, but if you're interested in the topic, read that. I think I'm going to try and find some more sleep books to read in the near future. I really enjoy them. It's a fun topic. Alright, thanks for watching. Hope to see you again next time.